Recently, we've seen John Cena at the Oscars potentially engaging in some kind of weird humiliation ritual for the... Now, this raises the question, John Cena, he's going through potentially a humiliation ritual, allegedly. Is the office itself a humiliation ritual for most men in their daily life working in the office environment? Let's find out in this video. Now, what triggered this topic actually was an interesting tweet you can see on your screen right now, where a legendary figure on Twitter asked, would you prefer remote work for much lower salary compared to being in the office? And in this case, you can see there are many people who do prefer to work from home, even at a lower salary. Now, there are many reasons for this, many lifestyle benefits from working from home, saving money on travel, and being able to eat healthy food because you can cook for yourself instead of being in the office and buying some cheap fast food, saving lots of time from traveling and so on, and wearing corporate work outfits that you need to prepare on the weekend and all that type of stuff, or doing your meal prep on the weekends to prepare for the week ahead. Now, there's many benefits of remote work, but one thing I pointed out, as you can see on this tweet on your screen right now, is that it's a potential view, and you can see this is a popular tweet based on the thousands of views it's got and the likes it's got. Is the workplace environment a bit of a humiliation ritual for men? Is it quite a negative environment for most men to be in, that they're expected to play along with certain things that are quite biased against them? And I would say for three key reasons, it is a bit of a humiliation ritual. Firstly, if you want to progress in your career as a man, there's many biases in hiring and promoting women over men due to gender equality, which really results in a lot of biases against men. I worked for a major investment bank where they had a hiring and promotion practice. They wanted to essentially make 40% of the management female in the country that I was based in, all their offices in that country. And if you're going to have that type of bias, it kind of, creates a lot of push for the senior management to hire and promote more women and put them in more senior roles compared to men. See, we're not really having a meritocracy or competency-based hierarchy as they previously sold you in previous years. Now it's about having the right ideology, supporting woke politics, being a woman or being a particular gender or racial group or relationship preference to get progress in your career faster. If you're a straight man, it's kind of the game's rigged against you, the culture is rigged against you, and there is some truth to hiring and promotion bias being against men. And in that case, we could say it is a bit of a humiliation ritual for you to be working hard when they're rigging certain things against you, hiring and promotions. Now, the second thing where we can consider it's a bit of a bias against you would be the culture. There's so many jokes that you're not allowed to make as a man, but you have to accept as a man from female colleagues, right? Female colleagues might make a joke about a man being overweight or make a joke about a man's height or the way he looks or the way he dresses. But if you make a joke about a woman's weight, height, the way she looks, the way she dresses, that would be deemed misogynistic. You get reported to HR, get a kind of employee tribunal scenario you could reach in. You could be labeled as discrimination, misogynist, and fired from the company, or being deemed blacklisted from promotions and things like that. I've been in many scenarios where female colleagues might get drunk at work events, at work social events, do inappropriate things, talk about twerking at a Christmas lunch, things like that. And if a man said that, it'd be deemed completely off limits, completely misogynistic. But if a female employee does it, it's fine. If a female employee flirts with a male colleague, he won't respond, but he has to put up with it. Otherwise, he could be blacklisted against or being seen as a negative person who's not social in the work environment. I remember working an internship at another finance firm, and a male intern was fired within the first week or two of the internship because they said he said something inappropriate to the receptionist. No real clarity of what that was, but he just apparently she felt uncomfortable, so he basically lost an internship within the first week or two, allegedly based on what he said. I've seen a male and female colleague work together for many years, and one time they'd been getting on well for years in the work environment, and then one time he smiled at her, and she said the smile that he gave her was inappropriate. And bear in mind they'd been working together for several years. She said it was inappropriate, and effectively he was backpedaling. She shouted at him on the open plan office floor, And then he was on the back pedal like, no, the smile was just not meant to offend you. Do you get what I mean? You can't even look a woman's way or smile in a way that she could find offensive because everything's rigged against men in the workplace culture. If men have a after work drink session and it doesn't include women, they could be reported to HR. I've seen that another major investment bank as being misogynistic. But if women have an all women's drink after work, just a social after work, that's considered empowering and strong in an independent woman. But if men do it, they're misogynistic if they're not including women in that case. If I've dealt with many cases of listening to female co-workers complain about men, husbands, boyfriends, about husbands wanting their wives to change their last name to their last name, different type of petty domestic disputes that I have really no interest in listening to, but you have to endure this never-ending pandering to female employees. And this is quite a common thing in the finance industry, right? So it's something for you to kind of be aware of if you are a male employee, about the biases that do exist against you. And there's lots of, like I say, company rhetoric that is very pro-feminist, anti-male, a lot of chit-chat you have to put up with, complaining about whatever's going on in the culture that is apparently not feminist enough, not biased in women in favor of women enough. Any male who makes any kind of complaint about the gender bias against men, it doesn't go well. And that brings me to my final point here, which is around, if you do speak up, you do talk to HR or employee relations or the DEI team, if they're still working there, if they've been fired because they're deemed not very useful, then you just get labeled as a bit crazy or misogynistic or not being in favor of equality. If you do speak up, you're not really going to get representation from HR Karens. Women in HR are not really going to be supportive of you. So you're kind of in a difficult position where you can't speak up because nothing's really going to happen. So just to summarize, the 4 key points I want to make. Remote work is slightly favored by men because they don't have to be in the humiliation environment that doesn't exist within the office. Number 2, there are hiring and promotion biases against men. There is a culture bias against men, I would say, also in the workplace environment around what can be said and what can't be said. And number 4, if you do speak up about it, you'll kind of be ignored. So to a certain extent, it's a humiliation ritual, just like John Cena went through. So something for you to consider when you're picking remote work versus being in the office as a male in the current feminist liberal culture you're living in the West. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. There are 2 recommended videos on your screen right now, a free ebook in the description, and leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.